What's going on, everybody? This is Joe with Ultradyne USA. In this video, I want to go over a rifle build that is one of our coolest builds to date, and that is a long-range thermal build. I will go over the barreled action, suppressor, chassis system, thermal scope, ammunition, and even the tripod system I was using. I will talk about the biggest advantages I found while using this setup and the different ways these products can benefit you based on your specific situation. So let's get to it. When I started planning out this build, I knew I wanted a rifle that I could be confident with out to distance shooting coyotes. So whenever I say a long-range thermal build, I don't mean 500 to 1,000 yards like I would for a long-range daytime rifle. I wanted a rifle that I could confidently shoot 200 to 300 yards at night if I needed to. Because of this, I wanted a cartridge that would give me a good ballistic advantage and would be easily available. So I got with our friends over at Brownells, and I got this Howa 1500 chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor. It has a 24-inch barrel with a 1 1/8-inch twist, and it has shot very consistent for me over the past month while out doing these hunts. Where we do most of our predator hunting here in Missouri, it is normally an easy walk from the truck, and I would be doing all of my shooting off of a tripod. So the overall weight of the build wasn't as big of a factor as it normally is for a rifle that I would take hunting. So this was the perfect barreled action for my needs, and for the money, these are one of the better values you can get in my opinion. For my ammunition, I used Hornady 129 grain interlock American whitetail. These rounds are actually on the cheaper side of the Hornady lineup. They grouped tremendously out of this rifle. I zeroed the rifle 2 inches high at 100 yards, and with the ballistics that 6.5 Creedmoor offers, I was able to aim dead on basically all the way out to 250 yards. These rounds also provided more energy out to distance, which gave me more confidence to make an ethical shot than a smaller cartridge such as a 5.56 that I normally use for coyote hunting. For my chassis system, I'm using the UD5 chassis and adjustable buttstock. The biggest advantage of the chassis system for me during these hunts was the integrated ARCA rail on the fore end. This allowed me to quickly clamp my rifle into my tripod with an ARCA clamp and lock it in. Slide it forward and backward on the rail if I needed to, and then just loosen the clamp and it comes right off. This was great to not only shoot from, but it was also convenient to carry my rifle setup out into the field for each set. I would just lock my chassis into my ARCA clamp on top of my tripod, put it over my shoulder, and walk wherever I needed to go. That way, the whole walk out to your spot, you can easily just pop the tripod off your shoulder, do a quick scan to ensure you aren't spooking anything on your way in, and then whenever you get to your spot, you are already set up. You'll just need to adjust your tripod. Other features that made a big difference for me was the pistol grip and the adjustable buttstock. If I had a traditional stock, I would not have been able to manipulate the rifle on the tripod as easy as I could using the pistol grip, keeping my shooting arm and hand in a more natural position. And the adjustable buttstock allowed me to custom fit where I needed to be on the cheek piece in order to align with the thermal scope properly. This was a major benefit since I spent so much of my time shouldered on the rifle, scanning through the thermal on top of the tripod. My tripod setup that I'm using is the UD carbon tripod with the orbit ball head. Outside of the thermal, this was the biggest advantage for me. The tripod weighs in just over 5 pounds with the ball head installed, and if you wanted to, it can collapse down to as short as 24 inches. So it was much easier to pack in and out than some of the other tripod setups that I've used in the past. The center adjustment column was also a big advantage for me due to the quick vertical adjustments without having to adjust all 3 legs. I would typically extend the bottom 2 sections of the legs all the way and then extend the top portion just a few inches. This height was basically the lowest I would need the tripod, so then I used the center column adjustment to elevate it if I needed it any higher. And I would still have adjustment left in the top portion of my legs to level the tripod on a hill. Moving on to the suppressor, I was running the Aero Lahar 30L. One thing to keep in mind that I noticed when using a suppressor with a thermal scope is that as soon as you fire a round, the thermal scope will actually pick up the heat coming off of the suppressor, and you'll see a slight glow in the bottom of the thermal scope. So if you're going to be using an AR platform and you could potentially have a higher rate of fire, you might end up seeing more of that heat show up in the bottom of the scope. So getting a suppressor cover might not be a bad idea for you. As a whole, this rifle has performed great for me, and it provided accurate, quiet, easy to use functionality, which is exactly what you want with a predator hunting rifle. Now on to the final part of the build, and that is the thermal scope. So I got this scope from our friends over at AGM, and it is the Rattler V2 5640. That basically means it has a 50mm objective lens and 640 by 512 resolution. As you will see in the videos from some of my hunts, this scope did not disappoint. The first thing that jumped out to me whenever I started using it was the clarity. I had used several other thermals in the past and had never looked through any unit that was quite as clear as this one. The field of view was also great at the 2.5 times base magnification, since I had to do all of my scanning off of the tripod. Even though I didn't need it very often, it had the capability to go all the way up to 20 times magnification. The most common orientation that I ended up using was the 2.5 times base magnification and then the 5 times magnification in my picture-in-picture window. This allowed me to keep my wide field of view and still be comfortable shooting out to 200 to 300 yards. And I still had the capability to zoom in even further for shots beyond that distance. For the color setting, I almost strictly kept it on white hot. All of the color schemes looked great, I just found white hot to be the easiest on my eyes when scanning for hours at a time. The usability was easy from the get-go. I was able to navigate through all the buttons. Everything was easy to use, and whatever I had questions on, AGM had a quick tutorial video to watch that walked me through it. I would say that my favorite feature on this scope was the shot activated video. This feature stored the 10 seconds previous to a shot and the 10 seconds after the shot. If it weren't for that feature, I would not have had near the footage I ended up getting because of how fast everything happens whenever you're out coyote hunting. I sometimes forgot to press that record button. If I could change one thing on this scope, it would be having a laser rangefinder. Unless you are hunting in fields that you are very familiar with and you have the known distances, it can be very deceiving at night how far your target actually is. And the difference in holds between a 300 and a 350 yard shot can make a big difference. AGM does offer plenty of options with the laser rangefinder integrated into the scope, so make sure you check those out if it is also a priority to you. All in all, I was very happy with how this rifle performed. I had no major issues. For those who have done a lot of thermal hunting and you've gone those long weekends using a setup, you know that that is not always the case. The best part about building a thermal setup like this one is that it is completely customizable. If you want lighter weight, you can get a shorter, lighter chassis, a lightweight buttstock, and a light action with, say, a fluted barrel. Or if you wanted heavy so that there is minimal movement whenever you are panning on top of your tripod, you can do that as well. With a modular system such as this one, you can plug and play to get exactly the style of build that you want. Just remember, once your rifle is complete, the more you practice with your setup before you hunt, the more you will be prepared whenever the time comes out in the field. Let me know in the comments, do you have a thermal rifle setup? If so, what is your setup and what do you enjoy about it? Also, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and let us know what type of content you want to see from us in the future. For now, that does it for this video, and we'll catch you on the next one.